Hiya, how are we? How are you? So yeah, back again. As I said it would be. I'm wondering if you're familiar with the expression, if all you have is a hammer, excuse me, then everything is a nail. And yeah, it makes a lot of sense when you're thinking about someone that is, you know, looking at you through a very precise lens, a very particular perception. It's like your viewpoint of the world is very much focused upon what you can see, like what tools you have at your disposal to be able to see things and understand them. Um, and it feels very much like a lot of people do that, even those that claim to be empathetic, sympathetic towards others. They still only see it through their perception and what it means to them, not truly empathetically what it means to the other person. And like, if the tools you have at your disposal are a very particular kind of tool that can generally only can do one or two things, such as a hammer, then everything suddenly becomes a nail. So either, like, the two things a hammer can do, generally speaking, is put nails in and take them out. So with this way of thinking, you can only put nails in and you can only take nails out, and it's very narrow. And thinking strictly in the terms of the tools and and the nails is also kind of narrow, but metaphorically speaking, it's quite it's quite relevant to how a lot of people approach other people and life, and the perspectives that they find in that. And it's funny because that's not how true understanding works. Like, we see everything as a nail. We don't see that sometimes it's a screw or a piece of wood or a combination of things that would be something other than you'd see. Like, you might need a saw, but all you have is a hammer. So you're looking for nails, and you're turning that piece of wood into into nails. This makes no sense when you go too much into the metaphor, but generally speaking, it is about a matter of perception and looking at things and see if the only thing you have is a hammer, everything becomes a nail. And it's kind of frustrating trying to feel like understood by someone that's only going to see you as a nail no matter what, even though you're not a nail, but they've only got a hammer, so they only see nails or not nails. And if you're neither a nail or not a nail, well, you might be not a nail, but they're looking for nails. It's getting a bit lost, but yeah, my point is, expand your tool set. Expand your tool set. Keep your horizons open. Open your perspective. Keep your perception fresh. Always look from outside someone else's point of view and how they would see it. That's true empathy. People claim the empathy because they go, oh yeah, I feel your pain, okay, cool, I understand what you're saying, and they don't. They really don't. They're looking at it through their narrow viewpoint. They're not looking at why someone would see such a thing such a way. They always look at it through their way. Like, if there's something that someone else says and you don't agree with, you say that they're wrong, even though from their true perspective they're fully right. And it takes a hard thing to grasp, because sometimes a lot of things you don't want to grasp because you're so against them. And truly speaking, like in terms of good morals, it's, you know, if they don't align to them, then it's hard, you know, to accept that someone will get to that, will get to a point that you don't agree with, but it's fully valid because of what they've lived through. Do you know? And it's hard to bring up examples, but you know, someone that's very hateful towards a certain type of people, or someone that's very, you know, sad and angry, and or is crazy, or a little bit, you know, funny in one particular way, like a little bit different, is usually because of their life and their circumstance and their situation. And to understand that, you really have to get into their shoes. You have to wear their shoes and see it from their point of view. And if you don't do that, you're not truly like empathetic with them, you know? You're not truly. You can go, okay, I hear you, but I disagree. You can't disagree with someone who's right, even if they're wrong. Do you see what I mean? Like, they're right because of how they felt. If what they feel is true to them, who are you to say they're wrong? Do you know what I mean? Because of what they lived through and how they've got to that point is relevant to why they feel the way they feel. And there's so many different factors and things involved that, looking at it through your lens with your hammer, you're not going to really understand them, and in a way where they're going to either be able to agree with you, or you're going to be able to agree with them, or just come to some mutual understanding to agree to disagree. So expand your tool set. This is what I'd say to you, you know, keep stepping outside of yourself. You can always come back later. It's not going anywhere, and you will only benefit from that, being able to see things from other people's perspectives, being able to understand them, being able to truly empathize with them and be like, look, I don't agree with you because of the way that I am, but I can see how you would come to that conclusion given what I know about you. And if you just straight up just go disagree, no, you're wrong, you're never going to really see how they've come to that conclusion, how they've come to that point of view. You're not going to let yourself, you're going to go, well, no, you're wrong just because I don't agree. And, you know, that gives you two different ways. There's probably more. There's two different ways to disagree with someone. You know, I see where you're coming from. I see how you've got there, right? Or there's just like, no, you're just wrong. And it's like, well, it's not very constructive to be like that. It doesn't really advance humanity, does it? It doesn't really get us anywhere to be like that, to go, you know, this is, you know, you're just wrong. Hey, excuse me, I'm talking here, Mrs. Grumbler. Do you see what I'm saying? And so it means being closed-minded to only hold a hammer and only see nails. So you're only going to empathize with people you agree with, right? You need to empathize with everyone. So you need to expand your tool set. And sometimes you need a saw, sometimes you need a drill, sometimes you need to put the tools down and just listen. And listening is a very difficult thing to do, because you're always naturally going to put yourself there, right, in that perspective. But that's the difficult thing. That's how you get it wrong, is you put yourself there in someone else's story, right? But listening to them isn't about that. It's about becoming them to listen to their story as them, and as they feel it, and as they experience it, and as they become it, and become it enough to be able to tell you what that is. And then you can truly empathize when you put yourself aside and don't make it how you feel about it. You know, when someone says that something they feel a certain thing, don't make it as if it's about you, or it's personal, or it invalidates anything that you or may not feel. You see what I'm saying? So expand your tool set, put down your hammer, pick up your saw, become the nail, become the wood, get a drill, screwdriver, screw. Spirit level, keep your spirit level up. All right, expand your tool set. See you later, I love you.